Good morning and welcome to the garden this early morning. Sorry for if I stumble over some words. The coffee is not yet flowing through the veins, but I wanted to jump in here and share some of the experiences about garbanzo beans before the heat of the day really gets upon us. And so this is garbanzo beans in my garden right now. You can see the little pods hanging off of the stem. They're really fun to grow. I recommend them. They're super fun. So this is a variety called Black Sicilian. I chose this one not because of its historical authenticity, but because it's one that's supposed to ripen really well here and the cooler summers of the Willamette. So garbanzo beans, also known as chickpeas, can be dated way back with human usage, like to 10,000 before Common Era, and because they preserve fairly well in the archaeobotanical record, we can trace the domestication of them pretty easily, and we can see the changes, not so much in shape. They kind of still stay the same garbanzo bean shape, but they do definitely increase in size over time. So garbanzo beans and chickpeas, they're the same name. They're different names for the same thing. So chickpeas is thought, according to Ken Alba, to be a riff off of I think it's either Italian or Spanish name for them, which is ciche, C-I-C-H-E. So you can see how ciche kind of turns into chick. And then garbanzo bean is an indigenous name used by the people of Spain, or in the region of Spain. So, let's see. Oh, and then with peas and beans, kind of the general rule is that peas are things with tendrils on them, where beans are just kind of ones that either twine or grow in bush form. So let's jump in and let's take a look at garbanzo beans. Ta-da! Garbanzo beans. So a little reading from Gerard's Herbal for some context. So here we go. The garden ciche, you can see the spelling here of C-I-C-H-E, bringeth short round stalks, oh hey bumblebee, branched and somewhat hairy, leaning on one side. The leaves are made of little ones growing upon one stem or rib, set one right against the other, of which every one is small, broad, and nicked on the edges, lesser than the leaves of the wild germander. The flowers be small, of color either white or of reddish purple, which mine are here, a little bit more reddish purple, after which come up little short cods, puffed up as if it were with wind like little bladders. I love these descriptions. And which do lie 2 or at the most 3 seeds cornered small towards the end, with one sharp corner, kind of what we think of as the beak of the seed, not much unlike ram's heads, ram's heads, thank you plenty, of color either white or of reddish black purple, and which is plainly seen in the place where they first to sprout. The root is slender, white, and long. It's sown in Italy, Spain, and France, everywhere in the fields. This is really cool. It is sown in our London gardens, but it's not common. So here's really kind of a fun thing, right? They're talking about it's being sown in the fields where it's hot and dry, and then if you have the time and space and are fancy, you can grow it in your gardens. Because it doesn't grow very well in London. And then the other little fun thing to point out here is there's the picture, the woodcut of the cicer, C-I-C-E-R. It's getting in the way. And then this is what I love here is it's sown in April, so definitely a more warm season crop, unlike our peas that we can sow in February and March. Being first steeped in water a day before the food is ripe in August. So this is really cool because it talks about one of the common seed starting techniques of soaking your pulses overnight to just kind of plump them up and get that dose of water going. So that's pretty cool. You know, they probably weren't soaking the seeds of all the ones that they were planting in the fields in Italy and France, but this might be something that they were utilizing in the cooler London garden ones where we can take the time to soak the seeds since we're only planting a few. So anyway, and here is the garbanzo bean. So, they're really fun. They ripen along these stems and they ripen from the base up. So you can see that these down here below are larger and they get smaller because they're still starting to ripen. And at the tippy top here, we have our little flower, and it's going to open up and be a little bit purplish because this is kind of those purple seeds. So you see that equivalent. And so with this one here, you can eat The seeds, when they're about this size or a little bit larger, pod and all, and then once they get to this larger size down here, kind of the size of your thumb, the seed pod gets really fibrous and is not fun at all to eat. It's kind of hard and crunchy. It still tastes really fun if you just suck on the pods a little bit. And why that is because if you can see, hopefully, the camera's picking it up here, but the entire plant is covered in these little dots of secretions of a liquid. And it is garbanzo bean's way of dealing with moist soils. It likes to really pump the soil, the water out of the soil and keep its roots nice and dry. And yeah, you can see just kind of like this hazy gray, excuse me, outline to the leaves, and that's actually all this water or the secretion elements. And the secretions are a combination of malic acid and oxalic acid. There we go, that's a really nice one. And so with that, the malic acid is one of those acids that is found a lot in apples, and oxalic acid is one that is found in spinach. So be careful if you have kidney stone issues. Oxalic acid can kind of tend to promote that. And then, so with that, when you do eat the pods, you are eating and tasting a lot of the secretions. And so the pod itself tastes, I think of it kind of like a key lime pie. It has this sweet, nutty flavor, but it also has these really nice bright hits of what codes for me as citrus, but it's just those malic and oxalic acid tastes. So there we go. And one difference here with this type, hi Bumblebee, is that there's only one seed per pod, which differs than the description that Gerard has. And it also differs from the images that we see in the pre-1600s texts. Those typically have 2 to 3. So I am going to be on the lookout for other different types of garbanzo beans to grow in the garden, but I'm definitely going to grow them again. So, in the spirit of the Medieval Health Handbook from the 1400s, I present to you a garbanzo bean patch and a person in front of their garbanzo bean patch eating a garbanzo bean pod. Right? Oh my goodness. That is really fun. So it's, wow. So it's so bright and refreshing. You can really see why on a hot summer day in Spain or France that you would sneak into your garbanzo bean patch and eat some of these bright flavored pods. That's really lovely. You can really taste the malic acid. It gives it that kind of crisp, appley brightness, but also has these undertones of the deeper, darker oxalic kind of spinach flavors. Very cool, very unique. So I hope one of these days I can bring garbanzo bean pods to an event to share with everybody and we can taste test them together. Until that time, I hope you stay safe and stay healthy, and I hope you get some dirt underneath your fingernails. Okay, take care everyone. Bye.